that encourages commitment to your personal faith and seeking a place that will accommodate you and your family in a space of diversity and inclusion, then look no further. We are pleased to announce that we have received our Welcoming Congregation Renewal Certification. This Welcoming Congregation program is a volunteer program for congregations that want to take intentional steps to become more welcoming and inclusive of people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. Our mission is to love, grow, and serve. My name is Jennifer Grant, and I'm your worship associate this morning. I share the pulpit with Reverend Sue Gabrielson, our incredible music director, John Dalton, our spectacular organist that you can't see, but he's there, Jeff Letts, and our small and mighty choir. And they're always looking for new members to sing and join with them and sing. As always, I want to extend a special gratitude for our fabulous tech team who makes all of this possible. And today, we're short-staffed for the tech team. Normally, we have 5 people to staff our tech team, and we have 2. So we are looking for a few good men or women to join our tech team. Let us know after the service if you are interested. And do we have any guests or visitors with us this morning? We welcome you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We welcome you, and hopefully on your way in, you picked up a connection card before you came into the sanctuary. And if you're joining us virtually, please find the connection card in the chat box. The most important gift you can give to us is a chance to get to know you. And for those of us who are joining Zoom, it's funny, I always look up. We ask that you please keep your microphones muted and refrain from sending chat messages unless asked to do so. The beautiful flowers today, our service, are to cheer folks up who have been sick this week. And now, let us begin our service.
Each of us was created in the image of love. Wherever we come from, wherever we are going, whoever we are, whomever we love. We proclaim with love on our side. Our bodies are sacred, our minds are blessed, our spirits are beloved. May we be open to receive more love, always more love. Come, let us worship together.
My chalice lighting today is the Pride Flame by Linda Lee Franson. We light this flame to ignite our hearts and minds, to spark of knowledge that enlightens, the shimmering hope that burns, the blazing love that engulfs our actions, the bonfire of commitment. We light this flame for those who celebrate themselves, who fear, who hope, who preserve, who stand and roll on the side of love. We light this flame for those who have been ridiculed, that they may not find peace, for those who have fought to marry, that they may celebrate, for those who live in uncertainty in this world, that they may have hope. We light this flame to renew our commitment that no one shall ever again suffer for the right to love. We light this flame to celebrate our kaleidoscope of diversity, working, loving, and living on the side of love. For this, we light this flame. And please stand in body or spirit as we state our covenants. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service its law.
This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please remain standing and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. There are hymnals in the pews, so you may want to, we have our words, yay. Go tech team of 2, so please join us.
We laugh, we cry, we live,
seated. I think if you have to tell someone what Unitarian Universalists believe, you just have to hand them the words to that song. So I have a story. I note that there are no children here this morning, but I'm still going to tell it. And it's a true story, and I suspect some of you have heard it before. I have not read it in this setting before, but it may have been. It is also one of Florida's banned books. So if you're scared, hang on. Because in the middle of New York City, there is a great big park called Central Park. The children love to play there. It has a toy boat pond where they can sail their boats, a carousel to ride on in the summer, and an ice rink to skate on in the winter. Best of all, it has its very own zoo. Every day, families of all kinds go and visit the animals there. But children and their parents aren't the only families at the zoo. The animals make families of their own. There are red panda bear families. There are mothers and fathers and furry red cubs. There are monkey dads and monkey moms raising noisy monkey babies. And there are toad families and toucan families and cotton-top tamarin families too. And in the penguin house, there are penguin families. Every year at the very same time, the girl penguins start noticing the boy penguins, and the boy penguins start noticing the girl penguins. When the right girl and the right boy find each other, they become a couple. Two penguins in the penguin house were a little bit different. One was named Roy, and the other one was named Silo. Roy and Silo were both boys, and they did everything together. They bowed to each other, they walked together, they sang to each other, they swam together. Wherever Roy went, Silo went too. They didn't spend much time with the girl penguins, and honestly, the girl penguins didn't spend much time with them. Instead, Roy and Silo wound their necks around each other. Their keeper, Mr. Gramsci, noticed the two penguins and thought to himself, they must be in love. Roy and Silo watched how the other penguins made homes. So they built a nest of stones for themselves. Every night, Roy and Silo slept there together, just like the other penguin couples. And every morning, Roy and Silo woke up together. But one day, Roy and Silo saw that the other couples could do something that they could not. The mama penguin would lay an egg, and she and the papa penguin would take turns keeping the egg warm until finally it would hatch. And then there would be a baby penguin. Roy and Silo had no egg to sit on to keep warm. They had no baby chick to feed and snuggle and love. Their nest was nice, but a little bit empty. One day, Roy found something that looked like what the other penguins were hatching, and he brought it to the nest. But it was only a rock. But Silo carefully sat on it, and sat, and sat. And when Silo got sleepy, he slept. And when Silo was done sleeping and sitting, he swam, and Roy sat. Day after day, Silo and Roy sat on the rock. But nothing happened. Then Mr. Gramsci got an idea. He found an egg that needed to be cared for, and he brought it to Roy and Silo's nest. Roy and Silo knew just what to do. They moved the egg to the center of their nest, and every day they turned it so each side stayed warm. Some days Roy sat while Silo went for food. Other days it was Silo's turn to take care of the egg. They sat in the morning and they sat at night. They sat through lunchtime and swim time and supper. They sat at the beginning of the month and they sat at the end of the month. And they sat all of the days in between. Until one day, they heard a sound coming from inside the egg. Peep, 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 it said. Roy and Silo called back. Squawk, squawk. Peep, peep, answered the egg. And suddenly a tiny hole appeared in the egg shell. And then, crack, out came their very own baby. She had fuzzy white feathers, a funny black beak, and now Roy and Silo were fathers. We will call her Tango, Mr. Gramsci decided, because it takes two to make a tango. Roy and Silo taught Tango how to sing for them when he was hungry. They fed her food in their beaks. They snuggled her in their nest at night. Tango was the very first penguin in the zoo to have two daddies. Soon Tango grew strong enough to leave the nest. Roy and Silo took her for a swim, just like the other penguin families, and all the children who came to the zoo could see Tango and her two fathers playing in the penguin house with the other penguins. Hooray, Roy, hooray, Silo. Welcome, Tango, they cheered. At night, the three penguins returned to their nest. There they snuggled together, and like all the other penguins in the penguin house, and all the other animals in the zoo, and all the families in the big city around them, at night, they went to sleep. And Tango Makes Three is an absolutely 100% true story. All of the events of this story, Roy and Silo are called chinstrap penguins because of their delicate line of black feathers that loops under their beaks. After years of living side by side in Central Park Zoo, they discovered each other in 1998, and they have been a couple ever since. Tango, their only chick, was born from an egg laid by another penguin couple named Betty and Porky. That couple had often hatched their own eggs, but they had never been able to care for two. And so in 2000, when Betty laid two fertile eggs, Rob Gramsci decided to give Roy and Silo, one of those eggs, a chance to become a family. And if you go to Central Park Zoo, you can see Tango and her parents in the penguin house, along with their friends, Nipper and Squawk, Charlie and Wasabi. There are 42 chinstrap penguins in the Central Park Zoo.
In Tango Makes Three, we see a gentle and accessible introduction to non-traditional families. This story serves as a powerful reminder that love and family come in many forms, helping to foster understanding and empathy from an early age. It becomes a perfect starting point for conversations about LGBTQ+ rights, as it highlights the importance of acceptance and inclusion. Just as the penguins in the story create a loving family, becoming an ally for LGBTQ rights is about supporting the rights for everyone to love freely and live authentically. Embracing stories like this and educating ourselves about diverse experiences is a key step in becoming an effective ally, advocating for equality and standing or rolling up against discrimination. I am a cis straight white lady, and I have always believed in LGBTQ rights, especially marriage equality. I attended the March on Washington for lesbian, gay, and bi equal rights and liberation. Thank you. On April 25th, 1993, I marched with Unitarian Universalists from all over the country. Siding with love and equality, I've always supported LGBTQ+ rights. I am proud to be an LGBTQ ally. 2 years later, on March 27th, 1995, I attended my first ceremony of union for two men who were members of the Paint Branch Unitarian Universalist Church of Adelphi, Maryland. Some close to 30 years later, I still have Ed and Elle's ceremony of union program. I want to read you an abridged version of what was printed on the back page of their program. A question often asked when a ceremony of union is performed is why? Why should two persons of the same gender insist on all the formal trappings of what amounts to a wedding in the heterosexual community? After all, There is no legal sanction attached to the ceremony. There are no automatic rights of survivorship, no ability to file joint returns on taxes, no property division laws, no family health insurance possibilities, no recognition of joint custody of children, no recognition of next of kin, no admission to the hospital emergency rooms as family members, no recognitions in the courts as a spouse. So why bother? Precisely because of this total denial of the validity of these relationships by society as a whole. I normally do not like when people applaud at the end of a wedding ceremony. I think it's tacky. However, at the end of Ed and Al's ceremony of union, I was the first person to start the standing ovation at the end of the ceremony. I was screaming and hooting and hollering like I was at a bar watching the Browns score a touchdown, which doesn't happen that often. Siding with love and equality, I've always supported LGBTQ plus rights. I am proud to be an LGBTQ ally. I returned to Paint Branch Unitarian Universalist Church on Sunday, November 11th, 2012, to celebrate with my Unitarian Universalist friends the passing of Question 6, the same-sex marriage referendum. More than 52% of Marylanders voted for Question 6. My Maryland church friends spent countless hours on phone banks and canvassing homes. Siding with love and equality, I've always supported LGBTQ plus rights. I am proud to be an LGBTQ ally. Then I came back home to Florida and was very sad. I realized same-sex couples could not get married in my state. My state did not recognize same-sex marriages performed in other states. Gay couples legally married in another state could not collect their spouse's death benefits, nor were recognized as next of kin. On June 29, 2014, this church held a public witness for marriage equality. I was there. At least people in my community supported marriage equality. Siding with love and equality, I've always supported LGBTQ plus rights. I am proud to be an LGBTQ ally. While I deeply wanted to have Florida to have marriage equality, I never imagined that the courts would decide in our favor. Oh, ye of little faith. On August 21st, 2014, the court ruled Florida same-sex marriage ban unconstitutional. On January 6, 2015, same-sex marriages became legally recognized in Florida. And 1 week later, on Sunday, July 11, 2015, I attended 11 same-sex marriages right here in this sanctuary. And yes, I was the first person to stand up and cheer for each couple as they were legally married. And I cried many tears, tears of joy. Siding with love and equality, I've always supported LGBTQ plus rights. I'm proud to be an LGBTQ ally. On Friday, June 26, 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, declared marriage equality is the law of the land, and same-sex couples could get legally married in all 50 states. Siding with love and equality, I've always supported LGBTQ plus rights. I am proud to be an LGBTQ ally, and for the first time in a long time, I was proud to be an American. Since 2016, the battle for LGBTQ human rights is in grave danger. In fact, here in Florida, our LGBTQ friends are scared, and they have a reason to be. In 2016, there was a Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. In 2021, there was Florida's transgender sports ban. In 2022, the Don't Say Gay bill, the Parental Rights in Education bill. In 2023, expansion of Don't Say Gay bill. And ongoing attacks on gender-affirming health care. These events, particularly in Florida, have fostered a more hostile environment for the LGBTQ plus community. The rise in discriminatory policies, both locally and nationally, has heightened concerns over safety and basic human rights. This environment has emboldened anti-LGBTQ plus sentiment, making it more difficult for individuals to live freely and authentically without the fear of backlash or harm. I want my LGBTQ friends to know I see you, I care about you, I love you. You are safe here, and by golly, I vote! Our vote matters. It's something we can all do to be a super ally for our LGBTQ friends. Siding with love and equality, I will continue to support your rights. I am proud to be a lifelong LGBTQ ally. If you have a stone with you this morning, I invite you to hold that stone in your hand close to your heart. During the musical meditation, come forward to place your stone in the bowls with others in this extended, beloved community. Allow your stone to symbolize your intentions, reflections, prayers, joys, sorrows, or milestones in your life. You may place a virtual stone of intention by clicking the green button on our church website or the link in the Zoom chat box. I will place this first stone for our beloved community and for the LGBTQ plus community. I love you dearly.
I'd like to place 3 final stones. One for the people in our congregation who have not been well. Joyce Jocks, who's transitioning to rehab after brain surgery. Deborah Lee, who you may not have known because she was very private about it, has been in the hospital for almost 2 weeks and just came out of the ICU. And several members of our congregation with COVID at this time. So one for the conflict that exists in the world. It's heartbreaking and hard for us to wrap ourselves around. And finally, a stone for all of those things that we're holding deep within our hearts. Let us be mindful of the power of love and community to heal and to uphold life. Blessed be, and amen. Let us join our hearts in the spirit of prayer and meditation. I had a prayer prepared for this morning in honor of the theme of today's service, which is National Coming Out Day, and the theme of our month, which is deep listening. But like yours, my heart and my body and my mind is full of anxiety. It's full of the past traumas that we've experienced, that you've experienced. It's full of the grief of the suffering that has happened in these last 2 weeks and that we can't help but anticipate. So I changed my prayer this morning to use some words from Adrienne Rich. In a world shaken by so much destruction, these words by Adrienne Rich point us to an important truth. While the weight of what has been broken can feel overwhelming, remember, healing doesn't rest in extraordinary hands alone. It lives in your hands, in my hands, in the quiet, persistent work of those who, despite the odds, work to rebuild the world, piece by piece, heart by heart. Rich's words: my heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who age after age perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. I'd invite you into a moment of silence to sit with your sadness, with your anxiety, with the anticipation, with your grief, and know that you are not alone. Please remain seated as we sing together our reflective hymn, number 95. There is more love somewhere. Dan Pierce said, "The world is so obsessed with defining sexuality for everyone and attaching labels to it. Anytime any person openly leaves the sexual norm, their sexuality becomes more often than not the absolute defining characteristic of that person. Becomes the first thing people think about, and often the first thing they mention or use as a descriptor. Every other part of that person all but disappears." National Coming Out Day is an annual LGBT Awareness Day that's observed on October 11th. To support anyone coming out of the closet. National Coming Out Day was first celebrated in the United States in 1988, 10 years after Harvey Milk's death. The initial idea was grounded in the feminist and gay liberation spirit of the personal being political. The emphasis on the most basic form of activism being coming out to family and friends and colleagues and living life as an openly lesbian, gay, or trans person. The founders of that day's belief was that homophobia thrives in an atmosphere of silence and ignorance, and that once people know that they have loved ones who are lesbian or gay, they are far less likely to maintain a homophobic stance or oppressive views. This was proved in the campaigns that Jennifer alluded to for same-sex marriage. But it's important to note, though this is very true for some, it is not true for all. And so the opposite is simultaneously true, that it is very dangerous to come out, especially in places like Florida. And we need to say out loud that years ago, throughout history, and in this very moment, people have been injured and killed for coming out. And for those who do, it is an incredibly courageous moment. National Coming Out Day was inaugurated in 1988 by Robert Eichberg and Jean O'Leary. Eichberg, who died in 1995 from complications from AIDS, was a psychologist from New Mexico and the founder of the personal growth workshop, The Experience. O'Leary was an openly lesbian political leader and longtime activist from New York. She was the head of the National Gay Rights Advocates in Los Angeles. They decided that they did not want to respond defensively to the anti-LGBT actions that were happening because they believed that that would be their predictable response, and often when there is a clash, you cannot win. So this led them to establish the National Coming Out Day to maintain positivity, to celebrate love, to celebrate coming out. The date of October 11th was chosen because it is the anniversary of the Second National March on Washington for Lesbian and Gay Rights, which happened in 1987. During its inaugural years, they said this about establishing a special day. Most people think they don't know anyone gay or lesbian, and in fact, everybody does. It is imperative that we come out and let people know who we are and disabuse them of their fears and stereotypes. It is equally important that we come out as allies as well. Our theme for this month is deep listening. Today, I'm going to invite you to listen deeply to two of our friends in this community. red handheld, Walter.
So I'm going to hold it in my right hand. Good morning. My name is Beth Graham, and I'm going to tell you my coming out story, or sometimes I think of it as my story of origin. So it was 50 years ago, a half century ago. And I kissed a girl, and I liked it. I mean, I really liked it. And in the moment, what was more important than just liking it is that everything became crystal clear to me about who I was. It was a moment of like startling clarity. I was gay. It was also terrifying to me. I couldn't be gay. I am like a parent-pleasing machine. I'm a teacher-pleasing machine. I'm a manager-pleasing machine. And I was going to let all of these people who held me in high regard, I was going to let them down. Worse than that, I hated myself. At the same time that I was experiencing love with another human being, I was full of self-loathing, and I was ashamed of myself. I often contemplated suicide. So I decided that the only way I could continue to live my life in the way that it was meant to be, I guess, was to live a double life, to be both the best student I could be, the best teacher I could be, and the best lover to another human being I could be. But those things were all going to be kept separate. It was my secret. I compartmentalized my life. I failed to bring my authentic self to any relationship. I lived in the closet, totally in the closet, for about 8 years, 5 years, 6 years, a long time. And finally, these two gay guys that worked with me adopted me. And they said, come on, of course we know who you are. And our lives are good, beautiful, welcoming, and we welcome you to them. And they taught me about fine food and how to cook and what to drink and where to dance. And it was great. But my professional life and my family life were still removed from who I really was becoming. And so 8 or 9 or 10 years down the road, I was forced to come out to my parents by some evil and cruel trick, but that's also a different coming out story. But what I deeply regretted about not being truthful and honest and authentic with them was that someone had outed me to my mother 8 years before. And my mom kept that secret. And she waited for me to be able to trust her enough to tell her. Because the fear of coming out is that you will never be loved again. We had a lot of repair to work after I had alienated them for 8 years or 10 years, whatever. And it took a long time, and we worked through it. And what I learned from my origin story is, if you don't come out, then you're not truthful. You're not real. You're inauthentic. You can't bring your whole self to your relationships. I found out that I was no longer ashamed. I had parents who loved me. I had friends who loved me. And 10 years later, they were all dead from AIDS. but they actually mentored me and were role models to me. And so I learned how to do that for other people. When I was a teacher, I taught music and theater. I had every gay kid in the high school in my classes, right? And for the beginning of my career, I kept my identity a secret. I even pretended I was dating the shop teacher, who was really cute, by the way, but he was a man. Anyway, what I learned was, I robbed my parents of the ability to parent me when I was in my 20s, when I needed to be parented by them. I robbed my students of a role model. I robbed myself of being truly myself, bring my whole self to everything. And from that time on, I've been an openly gay lesbian, whatever. I didn't even know what that word was when I was coming out. So anyway, I'm that person out. I've been out in schools. I've helped children come out. I've talked with parents about helping their kids come out. I've married some of my students. And when my lovely wife, Kristen, and I moved to Florida, we made a commitment that we would be out in our community, even though we're the only gay couple in our HOA. And it's really been extraordinarily lovely, and it's helped us to be able to live our full lives. So we're delighted that we have found this congregation and some new friends, and thanks for your support. And now I get to introduce my lovely wife, Kristen Iverson.
So, like Beth, I have been an educator for my whole life. And you all don't know me, but I have been uber gay. I have been out since I was 20-something years old. And I'm so gay that I ran a lesbian B&B for years. Like, who does that? I taught LGBTQ lit in a high school in Amherst, Massachusetts for decades. So I've been like the out lesbian teacher. And if you don't know this, lesbian teachers, what our job is we teach straight people how to be better. Because in high school, everything is about relationships. And so when you're teaching LGBTQ lit, you're really teaching the 90% of the heterosexuals how to be better and more loving in relationship. It's a huge gift to the world. So last year, Beth and I decided to make our lives in Florida permanent. I'm a public school educator. I knew there was not a chance that I would ever work a day in a public school in Florida with all of the legislation. And on a whim, I decided to apply to a private school. My resume reads LGBTQ lit teacher, and oh, by the way, I was also the African American lit teacher. Not employable in Florida, correct? This private school hired me, and I took a risk, and I took a chance, and I've been working there for a year, and the adults are allies. The adults are very decent human beings, yet unfortunately, the evils that exist in Florida have infiltrated into the very lovely adults within the community, and basically around children at this school, it is a don't ask, don't tell policy. And so for the last year, I have been an amazing educator, working with mostly seniors, some juniors, and some sophomores, in which I am not explicitly out. And I would be lying to you if I said it doesn't damage me in some ways, but let's face it, I'm old, I'm 58 years old, I've done my therapy, I've done my work, I can take care of myself. What I realize about stepping back into the facade of a closet is the damage it does to our young people. So now, my young people, I speak about LGBTQ issues all the time, but it's not personal. I can't make that personal comment. They don't know that I have a wife. They don't know who I am completely, and the damage that that does to heterosexuals and cisgendered folk is so dangerous. And I don't know how to get this message out to communities that when you don't allow folks to be all of the beautiful diversity that we all are, we're damaging our kids, we're damaging their critical thinking skills. And so my story is sort of a coming back in story, and not about the damage to me, but we want our youth to grow up and to understand the beauty that is the complexity of all of those of us who exist in the world. So I am pleased to be here, and it is the oddest, scariest place I've ever been in my life, and I'm really trying to figure it out, so I appreciate this place, and I appreciate your welcome to both of us. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, for giving us the opportunity to listen deeply. It is our job to listen deeply. I'd invite you to look around. Whose stories do you know? Who have you listened to deeply? I beg you, as a community, to open your ears and to really know, to really listen to all of us that are sitting around together. Know each other's stories, know each other's sadnesses and grief. It is better to be together.
Here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fort Myers, we give generously with love to our congregation. We donate all of our undesignated funds collected during the offering to a different charity every month. During the month of October, our community sharing recipient is Eva's Closet. And today we welcome Jessica Goodall, who's from Eva's Closet, to tell us more about her charity. So please, Jessica. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for having me and my lovely mom. So we have Eva's Closet and Foundation. We are off of Alico Road, so not terribly far from here. We serve children and families that are at the poverty line or below, which, as you can imagine, encompasses a lot of different populations. So a lot of our families are newly here from other countries. A lot of our families are homeless, just getting back into housing, transient, foster children, a variety of different at-risk populations. So we serve anywhere, our average is right around 100, sometimes a little over 100 families each week. We have a food pantry. We do all different baby items. We are one of the few agencies that does new car seats. As you know, car seats are extremely expensive and children cannot leave the hospital without car seats. We do diapers, cribs, pack and plays. We do a little bit of financial assistance. We do gas cards and some gift cards. A lot of our families really struggle with gas and transportation. We do some household items, some kitchen items, and we do have a food pantry. So we also do food. We just don't have a soup kitchen, but we do just general types of food. We are purely volunteer-based. We take any new or gently used items. So if you're ever looking for a place to donate, we take any kitchen items, household items, anything that's clean and usable. We also accept, of course, things like diapers and hygiene products. Those items get donated very little, so they're extremely helpful. Everything we provide to our children and families is at no cost. We do not charge for any services or for any form of assistance. And if you're ever just cleaning out your closets or you know anybody that's moving, we take any type of clothing, shoes. Again, as long as it's clean and usable, we're just very strong believers in if you wouldn't give it to somebody else, then we won't accept it either. We're big believers in just respect and dignity for for all people and for everyone that we serve. We don't require any things like social security numbers or specific documents because we're extremely welcoming of any of our families that are maybe just coming here and can sometimes be afraid to ask for help. So that's about it. Thank you.
So if you want to donate to our congregation, you can write an old-fashioned check and put it in the UUCFM memo line, or use an envelope and check UUCFM. For our Zoom members, you may log into uucfm.org and press the orange button to donate virtually. Or you can donate through our online giving page, or texting is also an option through Breeze. It's the easy way to give through the text. And a link to our giving page is also in the chat box for those of you who are in Zoom. Please designate if you are donating to UUCFM or Eva's Closet, or provide the percentage of your donation. The offering will now be given generously and gratefully received. Please rise in body or spirit as we say our words of grace and thanks. By the work of our hands
and the work of our hearts, our love is made real. May we be grateful for all that is given and grateful for all that is shared.
And please join me with our words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us in our closing hymn, hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Go
us the courage and will to truly be who we are. Let us begin each day anew with the goal of living from our heart and forgive ourselves each evening when we feel that we have fallen short and succumb to the pressures of the outside world. Every day is a new blessing to shape our action and our beings into our vision. Let us go in peace. Blessed be and amen.
Thank you for being with us today. Next Sunday, the CUPS groups will be hosting their annual soup and sides. Last year it was amazing. A suggested $5 donation will be gratefully accepted. Today, please join us for coffee and conversation in Hobart Hall to your right as you leave the sanctuary. Please note we are bringing back the yellow coffee mugs, and you may have noticed the yellow coffee mugs and wondered what's the deal with them. And here's the deal. They are for visitors so we can get to know you, or if you'd like to chat with us, please take a yellow coffee mug. And of course, the best reason to take a yellow coffee mug is there are also our Social Justice Committee t-shirts in the narthex. We are putting them out every week, and they are for sale with proceeds going towards anything the Social Justice Committee requires in order to make our social justice commitments happen. And for those of you on Zoom, please stay from some Zoom conversations. And if you haven't already completed a connections card, please do so now. And after the minister and worship associates have left the sanctuary, please feel free to greet your neighbor during the postlude.